Chapter 13. Is your melon ripe? Uncle Nan walked up to the bed and picked up the crumpled paper. There was a simple line written on it. If you don't want him to die, feed it to him. Inside the crumpled paper were only two things. The iron lighter was naturally ignored, leaving only the carrot. Who's trying to make us happy? Uncle Nan was stunned, holding the crumpled paper and the carrot in his hand, not knowing what to do. In an instant, he thought of many things. According to the instructions on the paper, could this thing cure his son's severe illness? He looked down and found that the carrot did indeed look completely different from the irradiated vegetables, not only without gray spots, but also crystal clear, emitting a faint medicinal fragrance. Dad coughed. What is this? Angus coughed anxiously, his voice tinged with tears. It's medicine. It's medicine. Uncle Nan also doubted the authenticity of this note in his heart. Could a severe illness that even the hospital couldn't treat be cured with just a carrot? But at this moment, he had no other choice. Angus's poisoning reaction was becoming more and more severe, and he would die within 2 hours due to organ failure. Now Uncle Nan was like a drowning man. As long as someone handed him a straw, whether it could really save him or not, he would grab onto it desperately. To put it inappropriately, it's like treating a dying horse as if it were still alive. Son, open your mouth, eat it. Uncle Nan gritted his teeth, walked to the bedside, opened Angus's mouth, and then stuffed the carrot into his mouth. Chew it. Swallow it. Uncle Nan sobbed uncontrollably, urging through his grief. Angus didn't know what his dad was doing, but at this moment, his consciousness was almost blurry, lacking the ability to think, and could only mechanically follow Uncle Nan's instructions. Hiroshi stood outside the wall, silently watching everything happening in the room. Finally, Angus swallowed the first bite. Ah! He suddenly exclaimed, and then his whole body began to shake violently. Angus! Angus! Uncle Nan was dumbfounded, and the half-carrot in his hand also fell to the ground. Just then, Angus suddenly sat up and began to vomit violently by the bedside. His breathing became steady, and the grayness on his skin gradually began to fade away. Hiroshi watched as his complexion started to turn rosy. He took a deep breath, took out a notebook from his pocket, and wrote with a carbon pen. Ancient medicine grade can have a healing effect on radiation poisoning, but it is not yet known if there will be any after effects. The room was filled with Uncle Nan's tears of joy. Hiroshi silently picked up Kiko, turned around, and walked towards his truck parked in the distance. He had seen the result he wanted. With Angus's recovery, it demonstrated the terrifying medicinal effect of the ancient medicine grade. Angus, as an experimental subject, regained his life, and Hiroshi got the data he wanted. It was a win-win situation. Next, the difficulty of the experiments Hiroshi wanted to conduct would be even higher. He wanted to see if the ancient medicine grade could revert mutated organisms caused by consuming irradiated vegetables back to their original state. But such opportunities were hard to come by. Even he needed luck. Driving away from the town, 30 minutes later, Hiroshi drove into the center of South City. It was 10 o'clock at night. If it were before the apocalypse, the entertainment street in the center of South City would be just starting its nightlife. But now there was no one on the streets. Broken glass and signs were scattered everywhere. The doors of the malls and shops on both sides of the street were tightly closed. Some of the glass display cases in the shops were smashed, and the items inside were gone, obviously experiencing a riot. Even the neon lights in the bars and KTVs were dimmed, and there was no stimulating music echoing through the streets and alleys. Dead bodies of stray cats and dogs lay on the streets, uncollected, quickly decomposing. Ambulances whizzed by with their piercing sirens from time to time. The air was filled with a sense of despair. Occasionally, military police on electric motorcycles passed by, their expressions tense, and the walkie-talkies at their waists were mostly broadcasting. There's another looting incident on XX Street. XX community has experienced theft. A female body was found at XX Pond. Time of death is... Seeing this scene, Hiroshi realized that the situation was even more out of control than he had predicted. In the apocalypse, many unscrupulous thugs took advantage of the chaos to create disorder. The number of people dying in the chaos might not be fewer than those dying from radiation poisoning. Hiroshi drove out of the entertainment street and, after turning a corner, suddenly heard a commotion. Then, he saw a crowd of people gathered in front of a department store, with hundreds of meters of long queues. Several glowing banners were hung in front of the department store's entrance. Emergency supplies, designated purchase point. Boxes of rice, flour, and some vegetables were stacked in refrigerated cabinets, looking like the most attractive treasures, attracting the gaze of thousands of people in front of the department store. They were not afraid of the cold, squeezing like ants here, clamoring, and even shouting curses could be heard constantly. Don't fucking cut in line. I've been waiting for 5 hours. Let me buy first. Bullshit. This spot was originally mine. I just went to the toilet. Damn it, you uncultured peasants. I'm the general manager of New East Company. Offend me and you'll regret it. Hey, who kicked me? Several police cars flashed their lights and stopped nearby, with military police holding loudspeakers, shouting, "Everyone, please maintain order voluntarily. Don't be agitated. Everyone has a purchase quota. You can buy 5 pounds of rice, 5 pounds of flour, and 1 pound of vegetables with valid identification." Hiroshi, seeing this, didn't know what to say. Whenever the Chinese encountered disasters, they liked to hoard food until they felt safe, until every household became like a small warehouse. In this national situation, even if the price of food skyrocketed, it couldn't dampen their enthusiasm for hoarding. He was about to leave when suddenly a military police officer walked over, lightly tapping on Hiroshi's car window, his face solemn. "Stop the car. Turn off the engine." Hiroshi was stunned, took out a pack of open cigarettes from the passenger seat, took out one with a smile, and handed it over with a smile. "Officer, is there something wrong?" He actually didn't have the habit of smoking. For him, cigarettes were just a social tool. The military police officer waved his hand. Although he didn't take it, his attitude was much gentler, saying, "Brother, open the rear cargo box. I need to check it." There was nothing illegal in the rear cargo box of Hiroshi, so there was nothing to be nervous about at this moment. He opened the car door and followed the officer's instructions to open the cargo box. The military police officer shone a flashlight inside, found only some agricultural tools, and nodded after a quick inspection. "Everything's fine. You can go." These days, some unscrupulous individuals are using trucks to transport toxic vegetables disguised as regular vegetables for sale in towns, seeking huge profits, causing considerable harm. The military police officer turned off the flashlight, kindly reminding Hiroshi, "Brother, if you want to buy food, make sure to go to the designated purchase points. It's not safe to buy things from outside." "Thank you." Hiroshi nodded. He realized that his prediction was correct. The country had already begun to control the sale of food. But after hearing the military police officer's words, he understood why there were so many poisoning incidents these past few days. It turned out that some unscrupulous thieves were selling irradiated vegetables. They chose slightly less irradiated vegetables, did their transactions in the dark when visibility was low. It was really despicable. Before leaving, he glanced at the people in front of the department store again. If he hadn't been lucky enough to be chosen as a player, he might have been one of those people. Or worse, he might have become one of those poison victims reported in the newspapers. "Brother, I feel a little scared." Kiko sat in the passenger seat, not knowing what had happened, but feeling the oppressive atmosphere and feeling scared. Hiroshi touched her head and said, "I'm here." Hiroshi didn't say much comforting words. Just these 3 simple words were enough to make Kiko feel very safe. "Yeah." Kiko nodded desperately. With Big Brother here, Kiko is not afraid of anything. Hiroshi turned the steering wheel to return to the farm. It was already too late today, and he was very tired. However, just as he drove out of the outer ring road of the town, a small modified box truck suddenly accelerated and overtook him. With a burst of braking sound, the other party directly blocked Hiroshi's path in the middle of the road. Hiroshi frowned and quietly reached for a sharp military dagger under the seat. Snap! The other party's door popped open, and a short, chubby man with pockmarked face jumped down with a big satchel on his back and hurried to the front of Hiroshi's car, tapping the car window with a grin. "Brother, I've been following you all the way." What's the matter? Hiroshi gripped the military dagger, still wearing a gentle smile on his face. I saw you just now at the department store, right? You wanted to buy food but couldn't, right? The man grinned, suddenly pulled open the zipper of his satchel, revealing the contents inside. Watermelon, cucumber, pumpkin, tomatoes, and rice. Whatever you want, I've got it all. Hiroshi's expression froze. So, this big brother was selling black market food? Hiroshi glanced up and down at the man. Then his gaze lingered on the vegetables in the satchel for a long time, and suddenly smiled and asked, Brother, are your melons ripe?